It's J Myrex or Altruwest.com. Hope everybody's doing well out here. Hope y'all are having a great week so far. Happy Thursday to y'all. Hopefully everybody got through with their taxes this week. This was tax week, so hopefully you got through with that and handled business. What's going on with y'all, man? We're gonna get started in just a moment. Y'all see what's going on. Y'all see the title. Yeah, we're gonna get to that in just a second. But where's everybody at? What's going on with y'all, man? How y'all doing? I see y'all in the house. Before we get started, I'm gonna acknowledge some folks in the chat, but let me know where y'all at in the chat, man. What's going on with y'all? I see Gird Up International Ministries, one of my true sound creators. What's going on with you? Bless up, fam. I see you. Shout out to my trusty moderator, Upbeat Media, who's been holding it down and will continue to hold it down in this stream. So y'all just make sure y'all check out Upbeat Media and follow the instructions from Upbeat Media. And also, yeah, some of y'all might be interested in some of the content Upbeat Media is doing. So y'all follow, if y'all interested in like streaming and video content production and stuff, y'all check out Upbeat Media's page as well. Subscribe to them as well if you're interested in streaming and content creation. So shout out to Upbeat Media for holding down the stream and moderating here. Cold Heat Studios, what's going on with you, fam? One of my true sound creators. What's good? Tunes TV, salute, fam. Tunes TV, I see you in here. DJ Cool Breeze, one of my true sound creators. What's good with you, fam? I see you. Jack Bauer, what's good, bro? Petrol Media, what's good, fam? I see you. Tadri Jermaine, one of my true sound creators. I see you up in here. What's going on with you, fam? Appreciate you. 89106, what's going on with you? West, man. God bless. I appreciate you for joining, one of my true sound creators. Yes, sir. Cold Heat Studio said just trying to get home from work and traffic. I hear that, fam. I hear that. I hear you, Gird Up International Ministries. I see you. Tyrone Sellers, another one of my true sound creators. I appreciate you, fam. I see you up from Louisiana. What's going on with you, fam? What's going on with you? Appreciate you for joining. Get at Nard. What's going on with you? West. What's good with you? Another true sound creator, man. I appreciate y'all for tapping in with your boy. We do these live streams every Thursday at 4 p.m. Central Time. So I appreciate y'all that have spent some time out of your day to hang out for a little bit and chop it up. We talk music production here. We talk a lot of great information about the industry, about gear, about techniques, about a lot of stuff, man. So appreciate y'all for tapping in, and make sure that if you're not already subscribed to this channel, go ahead and subscribe to this channel so you can be caught up to date with all the latest news and information on this channel, and so that you can also follow the live streams that we're doing weekly. And on these live streams, we do invite the audience to come up on stage and discuss the topic with us. That's one of the things that is different about this stream, is that we definitely invite the community to have the conversation, and we will be having a conversation on Fanbase. Fanbase is a social media app where you can do a host of things there. You can do live streaming there. You can post images and create paid content there. And they also have a great feature called Audio Chat, which we leverage on this stream. And we talk to our viewers and the community through the audio spaces on Fanbase. So if you're interested in participating in these live streams, make sure you get a Fanbase account first of all, but then our moderator, Upbeat Media, will provide a link in the chat where you can enter the Fanbase room, and you will be a part of the audience in Fanbase as well. So if you want to speak out, I can bring you up on stage. All you got to do is raise your hand in Fanbase, and I'll bring you up on stage. Normally, I bring people on stage after I've set the foundation of the conversation first. So I'll be speaking for a little bit, and then I will invite people on stage to join the conversation. So check the link from Upbeat Media if you're trying to be a part of this conversation. Couple other words. So just some administrative stuff. If you're not already a member of our True Sound Creators membership, I do recommend that you become a member. Our True Sound Creators membership is our membership on YouTube that entitles you to a host of features and functionality on our live streams, as well as you get access to over 50 hours of our music production content. So that includes special interviews that I've done with artists like EA Ski and Snipe Young and Divided Souls, but we also have some exclusive streams that we've done on there, shootouts of gear, and a lot of other information that I don't post on the normal channel here. So if you're interested in some deeper dives and some deeper conversations on music production, make sure you become a member of the True Sound Creators membership here. Upbeat Media has put a link in the chat here. And also, if you're watching this on a replay, then I will also have a link in the video description where you can check that out and become a member. So I appreciate y'all, all the true sound creators that have joined this membership and have become a part of this community. I appreciate y'all, man. Much respect and much love to y'all. And also, if you're interested in leveling up your music production and exploring new opportunities beyond just making beats, but really leveraging your audio creation and sound creation and bringing it to the next level, I do recommend that you check out my ebook, The Sound Mind. So, The Sound Mind is my ebook that I wrote almost 10 years ago now. And it's packed with a lot of information about all the things that I've done as a music producer to leverage my abilities in the domain of sound content creation. For those of you that don't know, I have been a professional sound designer in the music tech space for the past 20 years, working for companies such as Yamaha Corporation of America and Native Instruments. And I've created some of the top selling sound libraries on the market. So in this Sound Mind ebook, provide I provide the community with a lot of tools, resources, thoughts, strategies, and concepts to use to be able to follow the path that I've taken as a music producer and leverage that creative and that engineering and all that stuff that you've learned over the years, how to leverage it into being a sound content creator as well. So definitely, if you're interested in leveling up and finding out some new opportunities, this is a great resource for you. And my true sound creators get access to this ebook for a very special price of $19.99. So that's why I say if you are interested, you should maybe become a true sound creator. All right. Link is in the chat if you're interested in the sound mind. Appreciate the love, Tadrick. Definitely appreciate the support on the book. So yeah, man. If you're watching this on a replay, of course, you can check the link in the description if you're interested in purchasing the book. All right, y'all. Y'all see the title. Y'all see the topic. Um, Let me just acknowledge a few other people in the chat before we get started, but you see what it is. Um, the topic is, are you being scammed by music gear influencers? Before I get into that, I'm gonna just acknowledge a couple more people in the chat and then we'll get it started. Maximus, I see you. What's going on with you, fam? Appreciate you for joining. Um, VI Rap Radio, what's going on with you? He said, I've been saying that the music gear influencer community is toxic. Wow, word. We're gonna talk about that today. We're gonna talk about that. Yes, sir. So I guess that's the question, right? Are you being scammed by music gear influencers? And if so, what are some things we can do to avoid this? That's the question. See, Tunes TV says they just want the bag. VI Rap Radio says, especially the Akai influencer community. Yeah, it's very interesting. We're going to talk about when this is. So first of all, this is not a video about any specific music influencer. I was actually inspired to make this video based on a couple things. I think my release earlier this week discussing why I got rid of the MPC XSE, why I completely got rid of it. That shook some people to the core. I saw that that was a topic that it was a topic that basically challenged some people's thoughts about the gear that they have in their own studio, which is fine. I think that's part of the reason I did that, is to kind of like stir things up a little bit. But I also think it's important to recognize that, you know, I'm when I do my content here, I'm talking about stuff that I actually use in my studio. This is for my purposes and for my particular use case. And that's very important because I think a lot of this music influencer community are not talking about things that are really that relevant to their own setup in the end. And I think that's part of what I'm going to talk about today. I was also inspired to do this stream based upon a thread that I saw on Gearspace, and it was entitled Gear versus Influencers. They had a thread on Gearspace, and the thread questioned why clone brands of gear seem to heavily rely on influencer marketing. So, you have like your, not to throw any of these companies under the bus, but just what comes to my mind specifically will be something like a Behringer, obviously, or a Warm Audio or something like this, where it kind of is a clone brand. They're talking about, why are those brands leveraging influencer marketing so much? And this thread in Gear Space also questioned the qualifications of influencers, and asked, like, who are these influencers that tend to not have any real industry credits? Are they more qualified to provide the information about the gear than, more seasoned veterans that have credits and whatnot, right? So that was an interesting thread as well. I'll probably put a link to the thread in the video description when this is over. I don't want us to get too caught up in that right now, but that's what the inspiration of this video is. This video is about transparency and accountability in the music production gear space. So this gear is not to attack anyone specifically, but if the shoe does fit for you, I think this is going to create some accountability. So I think this is more about accountability and transparency than it is about attacking. And I think we need to continue to have these discussions to ensure that there is accountability for bad actors and culture vultures in this music production space. We are losing the culture of sharing information, thoughts, and knowledge about gear that we actually use. And now we have a bastardized version of the culture, which is largely focused on capitalism. And I know I'm just one person here, but I want to use my platform to open the discussion so that we don't completely lose the culture and the community. I think it's very important. So, where do we start here? Where do we start? Well, I think first things first for me, YouTube, because I think let's keep it real. We talking a lot about YouTube here. Y'all know it. I think that's very clear that YouTube is one of the main culprits of this music production influencing. YouTube has become a place for many of us to find out about the latest gear, the latest software releases from our favorite developers and manufacturers. In a way, it's become the home shopping network. I've said this before. I think it's like the modern home shopping network for many of us. So, it's the reach of YouTube is undeniable at this point, and it's hard for any company to make a real marketing campaign today without leveraging YouTube because of the reach and the influence. So it's very effective as a means to communicate a new product, especially with the help of content creators and influencers who operate as music gear influencers ultimately. Trust me, I know I've been a product manager in the music tech space. I know how that goes. So the question is now, are these music gear influencers scamming us? Now, I don't think all of them are scamming us. Let me be clear, because I know some of you are already going to say, well, you're calling all of them a scam. And, like, that's not fair because some of these guys do really great work and, they put a lot of effort in. Of course they do. This is not about everybody. Like I said, it's not an attack on anybody specifically, but I think there's some points that need to be made to kind of point out where there might be some bad acting and some opportunism happening within this community. So that's what this is about, really, is really looking at that and seeing how we can course correct some of that stuff, right? So many of us trust the content creators and music gear influencers more than the manufacturers and developers because these music gear influencers look like us and they do the same thing as us. So we think, right? So it is that trust, that built-in trust that creates the greatest opportunity to potentially be manipulated and scammed by the influencer. The reality is gear influencers don't necessarily do the same thing as the greater community. And I'll explain that. Music gear influencers are multi-talented. They are experienced in video production, scripting, set design, lighting, on screen presentation, video editing, and social media marketing strategy. Music gear influencers tend to cosplay the audience that they are influencing since they may have very little time to actually participate, especially in music production. They don't have a lot of time to do that because making videos at a high volume is a lot of work. Now, I don't know about what it looks like to make 4 to 5 videos per week. I can tell you even just doing 2 videos a week is work. So, for those that have a very high output of edited content, it's a lot of work. So that often means they don't have time to actually do the thing that we trust that their knowledge and their insights are good for, which is the music production. They don't have time to do that. So I think that's an important note that we need to consider that are we are we trusting someone that doesn't really have the actual time to do the thing that we're trusting their inputs and information on? Music gear influencers receive products with very short notice and often need to deliver a high quality presentation on that product in a matter of days, mind you. Not often that they get like a 60-day lead time or anything like that. That's not typical. They get a couple weeks, maybe a month at best, and that's at the best case. A lot of times, because I know how this goes. I like I said, I've been a product manager before. I know that typically we have a milestone in the product development, which is video ready, which is a couple of weeks, before launch. So, the product is being developed for a period of time. And sometimes it ain't until like that last moment that the product is ready to go out to the influencers. So they don't get a lot of time. I'm speaking from experience as a product manager. So I can tell you for sure, video ready is not too far away from the launch. So these influencers don't get a lot of time to actually like live with the gear, the software, the hardware, whatever it is that they're tasked to do the video on. This means that they often don't have that much time to live with the gear and integrate it into their studio, like in a real way. And I think that's part of the problem that we're seeing. Like they have time to like barely learn it and have to produce some type of compelling content that helps to sell the product in the end. Some of the top influencers may have a dedicated space to record their walkthroughs and do their gear reviews in order to streamline the production, which means, they've separated that space from the actual studio environment that they have for making music. And I think that helps them to like just quickly do the content, which is smart. But I think it can kind of create some problems with the genuine nature of the feedback and the review that they're providing if it's not a part of their real setup in the end. Music gear influencers are paid. They're paid, whether that's monetarily, whether that's in the form of free gear or a combination of both. They are paid. So, many gear influencers have been given the gear, they've been given money, or they have some other vested financial interest in the sales of that product. That could be like via affiliate programs and whatnot. They are paid. The relationship with the manufacturer developer makes it very difficult for them to have an unbiased opinion on the music gear. Because it's not very often that you'll have a developer, manufacturer, or anything else that allows you to get on camera in front of a huge audience and say everything that's wrong with the product on the release. That's just not happening. And a lot of influencers don't even want to get into that situation where they may have to say some things that are negative about a product because they're trying to keep that relationship. They do want the free gear, they do want access to whatever because it helps to give their channel authority in the end. I think that's what you see with a lot of influencers is that you get to subscribe or you subscribe to an influencer a lot of time because they do get the gear before you and you want to know about the gear. And because they got that relationship, that gives them a power dynamic over you, right? Because otherwise, if they were getting the gear at the same time as you and they had to go buy it like you, I mean, what value would there be if they're getting the gear later than you, right? You're literally following them because you're like, oh, that's that person. I know they gonna have the new gear, so I need to stay tuned and watch their channel so that I can be up to date with what's coming out. So that's how that power dynamic works, and they don't want to ruin that relationship with the developer or manufacturer. So a lot of times it's hard for them to have a real unbiased opinion on anything. Gear influencers may be motivated to discuss lower end gear because of the audience size and the likelihood of sales conversion. What I mean by that is lower priced products have less friction to purchase and therefore may be enticing for an influencer with a larger channel to sell. It's easier to get you to spend a little bit of your disposable income, couple $100, $50, $75, easier to get you to, make a purchase that's under, let's just say under $500 really, right? It's easier to get you out of that because it is more disposable for many people. So there's a temptation by some content creators, not saying everybody, but some content creators may be more enticed to cover those type of products because it's more accessible to a wider audience and there's a higher likelihood that people in their community can actually afford it and don't need to do too much justification to purchase it. These big purchases like these boutique products or these higher end products have way more friction. You're talking about like, hey, if I'm recommending you a $2,000 audio interface, right? You may be like, oof, I don't know about that. I hear what you're saying, bro, but I ain't got that big bro or whatever. You know what I'm saying? That happens all the time. I know it. I see it. You're going to have a conversation once it gets over a certain price threshold. So yeah, it's tempting as a content creator influencer to just be focusing on like the cheaper stuff. Like, man, just buy the cheap thing because it's good. It's great. I know what some of you guys may be thinking. And Terrence, I see your hand. I got a few more points. I'm gonna get to you. I'm gonna bring you up on stage in a moment, so if you can just hold tight. You keep your hand up, but I'm gonna get to you. Get to you in a minute. Um, but I know what some of you guys may be thinking. Like, dude, you're on YouTube. What are you talking about? Aren't you a gear influencer as well? Don't you sell gear and talk about gear on your channel? And don't you tell people what to get on your channel too? Um, I've noticed that there's a lot of people in the community that want to hold my channel accountable. And mind you, I have a smaller channel. I'm on the road to 15K subscribers. We have not hit 15K subscribers yet. I am on the road to that. Um, so I would say I have a smaller channel comparatively. And I've seen a lot of like attempts to hold my channel accountable for some of the things I talk about. And my thing is, keep the same energy for the larger channels, right? Keep the same energy. I think we should hold everybody accountable if they're saying stuff that might be questionable or needs to be challenged or more thoroughly vetted. But keep the same energy for the larger channels. Um, and this channel's been around for almost 18 years. Keep in mind, this is not a new channel. I didn't just come and see like, oh, the music production stuff is popping, and let me talk about this piece of gear or that piece of gear because everybody's talking about that right now. Some channels are like that. Some channels you look and see like they only been talking about this piece of gear or that piece of gear for a couple years, and it really became a thing because that piece of gear started popping off. People started talking about it. So that, the content creator that's smart about how they do their content research and whatnot, they'll say, okay, yeah, that one got motion. I got to talk about that. This channel been around for 17 years so far, man. And let me tell you, if I've been here from the beginning. I've been here from the beginning of this stuff. Um, we've been very specific about not turning this channel into a gear review channel. That's been very intentional. Very, very intentional. I think my channel would be probably way larger if I said, you know what, just make money off these folks. Just sell them gear. Just go ahead and shill as much gear as you can. But I've like done a intentional thing to not turn the channel into that type of channel. And some of you guys have asked me like, oh, you should do gear reviews or sample pack reviews. No, 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 we're not doing that. Now, will I sell my own products, like stuff that I make? Absolutely. And I think all of you guys in the community, whether you're a content creator or just a producer, all you guys should probably leverage things like YouTube to sell your own products. Sell your own products. It's okay. I don't have no problem with that. I love for you to shield your own products, especially if you took the time to make it, you took the time to craft it. You can stand behind it because you made it. Sell it. But this is not a gear review channel. I've decided long ago not to make this a gear review channel. So the gear that I do discuss on this channel is gear that I purchased with my own money. Like literally with my own money. None of the gear that I've discussed on this channel, and I'm not I haven't been given the gear. I don't have the relationship like that. So you can the receipts are out, right? You can go on my channel and see 17 years ago me talking about stuff like Studio Electronics SC1 or the Akai EB16 for the MPC 2000 XL or Logic Pro and Ableton and all this stuff. This is stuff that was purchased by me. I didn't have relationships with any of those manufacturers or developers at all. When I did have a relationship with the manufacturer, I was very intentional about not really talking about that gear. So when I was working with Yamaha, I didn't really do a lot of Yamaha product review. You didn't see me do any Yamaha product reviews, and I was literally doing sound design and other stuff for them. Didn't really talk about it, didn't really discuss it, didn't say you need to go out and get a motif or anything like that. Now, I actually use the motif that I purchased with my own money, but you never see me trying to shield that or sell that. And as far as like the native instrument stuff is concerned, again, I was very specific about how I approached that as well. Um, you can see if you look on my channel, it's been that way for years. You look on my channel, you can see that I've now adjusted it to formerly of native instruments, but I always had that I was um, a member of the native instruments team. I've always talked about that, always disclosed that. And if I talked about any gear related to native instruments, I'll let you know. First of all, my opinion on this gear is biased. I worked there. Some of the feature set that is part of this product I developed, or I may have developed the whole thing. Most of the time, I never talked about like really the products that I was doing at Native Instruments for the most part, only in passing, like, hey, yeah, I just, worked on this or whatever, but we wouldn't go through no full reviews or anything like that. And I let it be known we can't do a unbiased opinion on this because of my relationship with Native Instruments. I always waited if I did any content that was related to any product that was released, I always waited till like way after the content rollout was happening so that all the influencers got to say what they wanted to say and do what they wanted to do and present it how they wanted to present it, and people already had a perception of the gear. But I would only really discuss the Native Instruments gear once, the audience here asked enough times, like, dude, we want to know what you think about that. What you think about that? Okay, cool. I'll finally do something to talk about it. That's how I've always operated, with integrity. Now I probably could have made this channel way bigger by always covering the native instrument stuff early, right? Because who better to be able to come out with the first videos than someone that's on the inside that knows the product calendar, the release calendar, and knows all the features and stuff because you're working on the products. Who better to like come out and just use that to my advantage and start doing all kind of like videos and content to grow my channel. I probably could have blew my channel up. Like, you talking about like having all the knowledge and information about what's coming out on the roadmap and being able to like quickly produce videos before even the content creators could. Come on, I could have done that, but I didn't. I absolutely made a decision that that is not the way I want to manage this channel. First of all, this is the Altruwest channel. This is not anything specifically related to native instruments. So I always wanted to keep that separate for a reason. But yeah, I could have abused my influence and then did all kind of stuff like that. We chose not to do that here. All the gear that I discuss on this channel now are products that I actually use and products that I actually purchased with my own money. Not talking about stuff that was given to me by like, oh yeah, like, you know, ASM sent me this, or Novation sent me this, or I don't all the gear that I have, NPCs, all that stuff, I purchased. I purchased. So the stuff that I'm talking about actively on this channel, I purchased. And I use it. I think that's a key aspect of it as well. I actually use it. But that being said, you still have to understand that the gear that I use, in my opinion on gear, doesn't apply to the whole music producer community. It just doesn't. Because I also know that I don't do the same thing that the rest of the music producer community does. And that's why I said earlier, like, you look at content creators and you think they do the same thing as you, right? Some of you guys look at me and think, oh, he looks kind of like us, he kind of speaks the same language and, maybe does some of the same things or all kind of cultural connectivity that you might see and say, yeah, he looks like us, right? But I don't do the same thing as I would say 99% of y'all. And I'm just keeping it at 100. I've been a professional sound designer and product manager in the music tech space for the past 20 years. I am in a very small community of sound designers, music production, product managers. Not a lot of us out there. So I don't do the same thing as y'all. As a professional sound designer, some of the gear that I need to use or the reasons that I would choose gear may be different than why you would choose gear. And I think that's the disconnect in some of the conversation we're having on the video that I released earlier this week. Because I was talking about the sound and the converters and the clarity and all that stuff. Now, I use drum machines as part of my sound design process. Some of you don't really practice sound design. I would say a lot of you guys don't. If you buy a lot of sample packs, you're probably not doing a lot of like real sound content creation. But I use drum machines in my sound content creation process. So when I say that something doesn't sound as good or the conversion's not great and the clarity is not great, that's important for me as a sound designer. That's super important for me. Like, why would I want something that if I throw a sample in, it takes away the other processing work that I've done to get it to a certain point? So if I feel like something is removing low end from my sound or, something like that, why would I want the sampler that I'm using to remove that low end if my goal is to produce the most impactful sounds and sample content for my customer base? You have to think about that. So the thing that I'm doing is different from the thing that you're doing. So my requirements are going to be different. The other thing you might have to even grapple with on this channel is that even stylistically, like as far as the music is concerned, because a lot of you guys know I do music as well. I'm not just like a sound designer, I'm also a music producer. I produce music. Stylistically, the sound is different. Probably don't do what most of you guys do out there. Um, the requirements of funk, G-funk, R&B, West Coast music are not the same as the requirements for boom bap, trap, lo-fi, ambient. They're just not. Not the same for house even. It's just not. The sonic requirements are different. Think about it. The sound, the sound character of G-funk, funk, West Coast music, R&B, it's different than what's going on in hip hop, lo-fi and stuff. Like it's different, right? So what I deem to be necessary for me, you may not deem to be necessary. You have to understand that that is the perspective that I'm coming from. And also, like, just being on the West Coast, if you haven't already figured it out, sonics are very important for West Coast producers. Like there is a competition amongst the West Coast producers on sonics. You talk about Dr. Dre or somebody like that. Think about what Dr. Dre's impact on hip hop music is and what people always talk about when they say Dr. Dre. They say that, oh man, he changed the scope of the sonics in hip hop. Like the sound quality that he was bringing to hip hop was unprecedented. It's not just Dr. Dre. Some of you guys don't listen to DJ Quick, but if you're from where I'm from, we listen to DJ Quick. And I would say DJ Quick is sonically on the same level. He's not spoken about as much as Dr. Dre, but sonically, he is on the same level. And a lot of the stuff that you guys know of from like the West Coast, like um, you talk about Tupac's All Eyes on Me, for example, right? The sonics on that were much different than his previous work. Who mixed All Eyes on Me? Anybody know? Anybody know who mixed All Eyes on Me? I'll wait for a second. Any of y'all know who mixed All Eyes on Me? Because that's one of the, I would say, biggest outside of the Chronic and 2001. That's one of the biggest West Coast records. Anybody know? If you don't know, DJ Loop Beats, I appreciate the super chat, fam. Thank you. I'm waiting to see if anybody know who. Okay, I see. Y'all see who it is. DJ Quick. DJ Quick. The West Coast is about sonics. Why you think EA Ski talk about sonics all the time? Right? Why you think he talk about it all the time? There's a competition. No, not Johnny J. Johnny J produced. DJ Quick was the engineer. He mixed it. There was a competition on the West Coast on sonics. Some of y'all might not be able to relate to that, and I understand that. That's every region has a sonic signature and a sound science. So the stuff that I may use for the stuff that I'm working on may not apply to the sound science of the genre and the region that you're coming from, right? So when I talk about gear, I'm talking about it from a West Coast perspective. So you gotta chew on that. I'm talking about it from the perspective of the music and the things that I'm doing. I know that's not what a lot of folks are doing. Somebody said DJ Pooh as well. Yeah, DJ Pooh is another example of an amazing West Coast producer that had great sonics. DJ Battlecat, there's so many. The competition on the West is not just like the funk part. It's the sonic part as well. That's a whole different beast. And we'll talk about that in future videos and whatnot as well. But I want to lay that foundation so you understand what perspective I'm bringing about gear when I start talking about sonics and say things like, yeah, the conversion or the clarity of that. Like West Coast music is about clarity. Don't get it twisted. Maybe some other genres ain't, but West Coast music is definitely about sonic clarity as well. The reality is, if my channel was indeed about gear influencing, I'm doing a horrible job at it. After 17 years, I've probably made about $20 in affiliates on like stuff I actually use, by the way. Like I put affiliate links up for stuff that I use. Like I told you about how to hook up your iPad to, a MIDI interface, audio interface, and I left the affiliate link for the connector that you need for it. That stuff I really use too. I really have these things around here and I use them. You know what I'm saying? Like it ain't like, oh, it's just like he's just selling the stuff he don't use. But I've made $20 on that. I ain't making no money off of that. And in 17 years, for my channel to only have like 15K subs, I'm not here doing the gear influencing thing. So if that's what I'm being accused of on my channel, I'm doing a horrible job at it, guys. I'm doing the worst job that you've ever seen on YouTube if that's what I'm doing here. But the question is, how can we avoid being scammed by actual gear influencers? That's the question. And I want to provide a couple of like key things to look out for and some red flags. So the first thing is, with a gear influencer, did the influencer receive the gear for free? Did they receive any monetary compensation? And did they disclose it? Those are some things you should ask when you're watching a video from a gear influencer about some piece of gear. If they don't disclose it, if they don't disclose that they've received it for free, it's a major red flag. It's just a major red flag there. If they don't disclose being paid, that is a major red flag. If they don't inform you of their relationship with the company, it is a red flag. Last week we were talking about, some of the other great influencers out there. And Suno came to mind, and it's like some of us don't even know what the relationship is between that influencer and Suno. It's important. If it's these are red flags. If they don't disclose the information about the relationship, it's a red flag, and you should have your antennas up. Some other things to look at is if they claim that the product is just as good as a high-end product. If they claim that, are they giving you any benchmarks or comparisons? That's important because it's easy to say, oh, this is just as good as, whatever high-end piece of gear, right? You could say that, but then did they give you some comparisons? You can't just come up here and start talking like that and don't provide some evidence. So if they don't put together a well-prepared, level-matched, equal comparison of the gear that they are saying is just as good as the high-end gear, that's a red flag. That's a super red flag. That is a super red flag there. If they claim that you should get product X because it's just as good as product Y or better, but they don't switch over their setup to product X, or at least deeply integrate product X into their setup, that's a red flag. It ain't no way for me, ain't no way I'm gonna talk to you about, oh, I'm using this instead of the MPC X, and then I still got the MPC X right there. Did that make sense? If I say, oh, this setup is just as good as the MPC X, but I still got the MPC X. Folks got to be willing to stand on what they telling you. When I said this setup is just as good as the MPC-X, I got rid of the MPC-X. You don't see me just saying, oh, yeah, that's just as good, but haha, I still got my X. Y'all go ahead and get that cheaper thing so I can get this affiliate. Because I know you don't have money to get the X. So let me sell you the inferior thing and say it's just as good. No, they got to stand on it. Folks got to stand on that. If they say it's just as good and they are better and they haven't switched their setup to that, red flag. If they only make videos about product X during the release rollout, but never any follow-up videos besides when there's like a new software update or a new OS update, red flag. I'm sorry, that's a red flag. If a gear influencer is actively using something creatively, they should be able to continually provide additional insights and findings beyond what's in the manual. If they're actually creative and using it, and they're using it in their setup for real, they should be able to do more than just tell you, what's on the release notes of the latest release, but they should be able to tell you, like, here's what I'm using it for. Here's how I'm using it. Oh, here's another thing I found out that I didn't know before, or I discovered this. They should be able to give you some follow-up on it. It shouldn't just be that you only see them when there's like an update or a release. Right? If you only see them post about product X because of a new release or a new update, it's a red flag. And another red flag is if you no longer see the gear in their setup post release. It's a red flag. I'm sorry, it's a red flag. If the only time I've seen you with that gear is during the product launch, the 2-week period where all the content is coming out and you did a video to ride that wave or to fulfill your contract, and then we don't see you talk about that gear ever again, that's a red flag. So these are some red flags that I say the community needs to look at and like really be skeptical about as they're looking at content creators and gear influencers. Because realistically, we should be talking about what we're actually using. That's my opinion. I believe that this community is going to be at its best when we really discuss what we're using, how we're using it, and what kind of value we're getting out of it. because if it's only gonna be about new releases and just like quick insights or quick thoughts about stuff, it's a problem. It's a problem. Like I said, I've been here since the beginning on YouTube, and it was always a community of folks talking about what they actually used in the studio. So when I started making my first videos, it was like, hey, I'm F major. This is what I got. I got the MPC 2500. Nah, I mean, I got the Motif ES keyboard, couple racks, and we about to get busy. We about to get it cracking. That's how we started. That's how we started. It was talking about the stuff that I was actually using. And I later started to talk about some of that gear even more. Like, okay, here is the SC1, or here is this product. And I would talk about the stuff I'm using. This ain't new releases. This is stuff that I use, and I'm showing you and giving you the insights. Giorgio, let's go. Appreciate the super chat. He said, man, put a name on it so I know what side to pick. Man, you pick. I want you to use your discernment. This is what this video is about. I'm giving you the red flags to look at so you can use your own discernment, because it is complicated. There are people that use a mixture of talking about their own stuff that they use and stuff that they don't use at all. So I think we need to look at, how can we avoid this whole thing of us getting scammed by these paid product specialists that are cosplaying as us in the music tech space? Because there's a lot of that. There's a lot of paid product specialists that are being paid to cosplay music producers. What are some things that we can do to discourage this behavior? And what are some things we can do to hold these people accountable in the space so that it's not simply a platform that's full of shilling of products? What can we do to hold the community accountable? Right? Because it's up to us to hold the community accountable if we're seeing some of these red flags. Right? So what can we do? I'm gonna head over to Fanbase now because I see a couple of questions. I'm gonna start with Terrence. Terrence, I'm gonna bring you up on stage, man. Hope you're ready now. Terrence, what's going on?
How you doing, brother? How's everybody doing?
Good, man. What's going on with you? How you doing?
A couple days out, man. We're getting there.
Nice, nice. No, you can't wait.
So I can't wait, man. Cali's rough. You already know.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'll call some names out, but I'm gonna call them out for a reason. I want to say, in the way of how to be an influencer correctly, there's a few people that I actually listen to that I appreciate the way they approach it. And those people are people like the Midlife Synthesis, Bo Beats, Tefty and Memes. These are not normal hip hop people, if you're noticing the trend here.
I know you're talking about.
And Sanjay C. And Sanjay C. Like, I like the fact that they stick to, like you said, the information about the product. They're very upfront about what's going on. There's no questions of what's going on. And they never sit there and say, you should buy this or buy that. Because that doesn't really benefit you anyway. I mean, for starters, Midlife Synthesis is a dentist. Dude is well off. He's fine.
He is, yeah.
So for him, this is fun. What's his Bo Beats? Bo Beats was a psychologist. He is also well off.
Yep.
So when you start looking at it from that perspective, you start realizing those who are growing their brand because they want to inform you correctly. Like, I have respect for Sanjay C, not because he has placements, because I don't think he has too many, if any, but he's very knowledgeable when it comes to music products. So that comparison gives you insight. When you start hearing people, the people I'm not going to call out because I don't think I should, are those who, like you said, like to talk about things from the perspective of, oh, I get to get this for free if I talk on it. Now, For myself, I will say straight up, I recently was added to the Akai beta team
Mm-hmm.
for testing products. And in one of the conversations in the group chat for the team, I made a point about something because, Ghetto Sauce pointed out, he was like, when you share stuff with the team, you want to make sure that it's actually helping the company to do better.
Mm.
So, as an example, the Q-Links thing, like people complain about it. They did tons of videos on it. And what I decided to do, because I noticed it on my OnePlus as well, but it wasn't very often, it happened very sporadically. I did a 5-minute video showing all of the different ways that it works and doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And then I sent that to Akai. And I was like, this is what we're all seeing.
Yep.
Okay. This is why everyone is frustrated with it, with this specific problem. How do we fix this specific problem? And rather than sit here and go at it from, because I don't expect to get anything free from them. You know what I mean? I know it's better to just buy it yourself. So that's my thoughts on that. And then the other thing I was going to point out real quick, because I know I'm not going to be up here too long, because I wasn't planning on talking today.
It's all good.
The converter situation,
Mm-hmm.
something you did in your last video and something I did in my video, because I did a video comparing the 1000 and the OnePlus output.
Nice.
One thing you pointed out that I really appreciated was the DBU levels,
Mm-hmm.
which a lot of people don't know why that matters.
Yep.
Like the professionals know, the semi-professionals know, but most people don't really understand why that matters.
Right.
The reason the X, for example, sounds better than the OnePlus has to do with that DBU output.
Mm-hmm.
The OnePlus, I think, is only at 17 dBu, plus 17 dBu, whereas the X is at 24 dBu. Same level as my SSL 12, which is 24 dBu, which is why when the OnePlus is plugged into the SSL 12, it sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the little details that people kind of miss in the conversations because the people are busy just trying to throw it out there. So
Yeah.
when I looked at your video, because I did mine right before yours, and I looked at yours and looked at mine, and I was like, oh, you know what? They're kind of in line with each other in the sense of sharing knowledgeable information, not just, oh, this is great because, Akai,
Yeah.
which I think is the bigger problem, like trying to impress each other instead of actually holding people accountable. Like that's a huge thing for me. Like when I decided to do YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, not talking about products or things that I don't use. I only talk about things I use. I used the Phantom X for damn near 10 years before I got rid of it because, let's be honest, the MPC sequencer is better.
Mm-hmm.
All those features are pretty much in there. There was no real reason to stick with it anymore.
Right.
So I'm not going to talk about the Phantom X anymore. Why would I do that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess that's like my thoughts on all of it. And I agree with you. Like there's really a very toxic epidemic of people wanting to do things just to get products rather than do things to improve the community.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Terrence. I appreciate that. That's definitely real talk. And yeah, I appreciate the videos that you put out as well. And yeah, y'all go check out Petro Media's videos and his comparisons as well. He did a couple great joints in the past couple of weeks now. So definitely check them out. But I appreciate that. Maximus, I'm gonna bring you up on stage now, fam. I see you. I know you've been waiting. I'm gonna bring you up on stage. Maximus, what's good, fam?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me good?
Yes, sir.
All right. What's going on?
How was everything with you, man?
I can't complain, bro. How about you?
Everything good. Everything's good. Everything's good. Just wanted to put my little 2 cents in. Basically, I think most from a viewer standpoint, most people need to change their perspective of how they view content. And what I mean by that is just like what does ESPN do for a living? They sell commercials.
Yep.
They're practically selling content. They're not selling sports. They're selling whatever content they're selling to sell commercials.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it's just like somebody doing a product review. They're there to sell it. Let's just be honest, clear cut. I have nothing wrong with somebody making a living off off of reviewing a product because I wanna see it from another perspective. Even if it's staged, even if it's set up, even if it's, super high definition cameras and you don't think it's like some type of human connection because it feels staged.
Mhm.
But you must look at it just like if you're watching ESPN. If you watch ESPN, a GM, if he hears something that Stephen A. Smith says about a player, he's not gonna draft he's gonna not draft or draft that player based on what he said. He's gonna do his own evaluation.
Yeah.
Now, if a story comes out about it, he'll look into it, but he's not gonna say, ooh, you saw what Stephen A. Smith said? Okay, cool. I'm not gonna draft that player. Or ooh, you see what Stephen A. Smith said? Ooh, I'm gonna draft that player.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? It's not. I don't think your perspective should be that about equipment. And equipment is the same thing. We're spending money on equipment just like anybody would spend money on equipment for, let's just say you're doing construction. You're spending money on equipment, so you might go to a trade show or as they call it, the construction, like the display shows that they have,
Yep.
and you'll see different technologies and you'll make your own judgment.
Yep.
But you're not gonna just buy this equipment just because this other company has it. You know what I'm saying? But you're gonna look into it before you actually purchase it. And I think people's perspective of equipment they kind of treat it like it's video game systems.
For
Like
sure.
this person said this about this video game system, so I'm gonna buy Xbox.
Mhm.
This person said this about the PlayStation, so I'm gonna buy the PlayStation, or I'm not gonna buy the PlayStation because somebody had a bad, you know what I'm saying? You have to do your own research and figure out what works in your system.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
If it works in your system, it works. If it don't, it just don't. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And like I think people look to it as just like ESPN, like if you were a GM and you were you're gonna do it just because the media said so. And I don't think you should operate like that. I think you should have, like you said, you should have your own discernment
Mhm.
to say, I'm not gonna buy, I don't need to buy a SSL Big Six.
Mm.
Why do I need it? Let me just do my research and I don't really need that. Let me not buy that. I'm only buying it because it's new and I saw this person do this video about it
Right.
and I think I need it. You know what I'm saying? And you don't even need that in your arsenal.
Right.
So, you know what I'm saying? It's like you have to change your perspective. Do it because you found do your research on that entity.
Yep.
Read the owner's manual before you buy it. Watch 10 videos if you need to.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Sit on it, make your own judgment, but don't be mad at an influencer because you listen to them just like you would listen to Stephen A. Smith and he said don't draft Shadur. And then somebody else drafts Shadur because you didn't draft them because Stephen A. Smith said it, and then they go off and win a championship. And
Right.
you looking and you know what I mean?
Right.
Do your own research.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Be entertained by YouTube and listen to YouTube, but that's where the buck stops.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? When you hear something, if you hear something, then just do your own research. And that's all I'm really trying to add to it. It's like a lot of people they stop right there and then they get mad at the influencers and they blame it on influencers. It's not their fault.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
They dare to get it, let's just be truthful. They dare to get a check from the company by
Mhm.
doing a great job of presenting the product. However they present it, however that's agreement between them and the company.
Mhm.
They're presenting it in a way they might show you an extra feature that you didn't see. But it's your job to read the instruction manual to know what all the specs, you know what I'm saying, mean. Like you got to know what these specs mean before you even spend $2,000, $3,000 on a device.
Yes. Yes.
So that's all I'm saying. You know,
Yeah.
treat it like that. Don't get advice from Stephen A. Smith to draft a player. That's all I'm saying. I'm putting it like that. I'm pretty sure a lot of guys on here can understand that.
No, I agree. I appreciate that input. One thing I might add on that just to kind of go with your analogy here. I don't have a problem with people that are providing a different perspective or a different format of presentation on a piece of gear that's been rolled out. I think the challenge is when we start to have people that are coming across the screen trying to give the look of the audience. because I think that the separation between you and Stephen A. Smith is very apparent because Stephen A. Smith is showing up to spectate and talk about the game a very specific way, and he doesn't look like us how we spectate and watch the game. So I think it's very clear he is a commentator. He is not just a general viewer or consumer of the content here. I think there are those of us that come on screen with all the look and the gear of the audience because we're trying to create this relatability factor, and we may speak the same language, but then we start to say things as if we are the same as the audience to try to keep the trust factor high. And I think this is where the perspective gets very muddy for the influencer, because if they are just being paid and they're just transparent and it's like, hey, they sent this to me for free, or they sent this to me and they paid me to do this content and I'm gonna talk about it. Some of them might even give a disclaimer like, hey, I was paid, but they told me that I have full range to say what I need to say about it. That's great. But when it's not disclosed and it's just a lot of like selling cheap gear just for the sake of being able to reach a wide audience, this is where it gets muddy for me.
Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah, I can understand that.
Hmm.
Yeah, I just, I just look at it as the way I just operate it. I look at everybody, I watch everybody, whoever it is. I might learn something new from everybody, but I never look at it as like, you know, I'm on. I got to run my own show.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Regardless of how big it is, how small it is. You know what I'm saying? It's like being a coach of a football team. Whether you're on a high school level, little league level, you got to run your own show. You might watch stuff and you might admire other things, but you have to do you at the end of. You got to do what's best for you.
Yep.
You know.
Yep. That's real. And that's important. It's like knowing what your particular requirements are for what you're trying to do versus what the person that's on screen is talking about. Cause you, like I said, you might not do exactly the same thing as that person. So you have to take that into consideration as well. It's like, well, that person says it's dope, but like, let me go check out what they're doing like on the music space. And then it's like, well, they kind of do a different thing. So then you have to really evaluate what they're saying against what they do as well and say, are they saying something that applies to me, or are they saying something that only applies to them and people like them?
Yeah. Agreed.
Hmm.
Agreed.
But yeah, good stuff, Maximus. I appreciate the insights here, man. That's a good add to the conversation for sure.
No problem, man.
Yes,
No
sir.
problem. I appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you, man. All right, man.
All right. Salute.
Salute. I'm gonna get back into this chat here. If anybody else wants to come up on fan base, man, I'm happy to hear different opinions and stuff. If y'all want to share other insights, it's all good, man. That's why I do these streams in this format so that people's voices can be heard, and it's just not me ranting, so to speak. But I want to hear from the community because y'all got good insights and good perspectives, and it helps me to kind of rethink some of the stuff that I may be thinking about, just having this conversation with y'all as well. So I appreciate y'all that come up and share your thoughts. So shout out to Maximus, shout out to Petrol Media, and y'all make sure that y'all follow both of their channels. Actually, both of them do very cool content on different topics related to music production and the music space. Going back to the chat here, I see. Let's see. Giorgio, let's go, says, I believe he was using Stephen A as a reference, but his point was very valid. You still have to learn to use the equipment after you buy it. The content creators can't do it for you. I agree. Definitely have to learn the gear. You can't just watch somebody else have fun with it and get impressed by what they're doing. And then I think that's another challenge, right? Some folks get the gear because they see a content creator, have fun with it, and then they're basically tethered to that content creator for any and all information related to exploring and learning that content. And I think that's even more of a scam because now they've scammed you out of your time to work on the music because you are now feeling like you have to watch them in order to understand it. And I think some of it's not the content creator's part. It's not their fault, but I do know that some content creators see what's going on and play into it more. So they're not just like, hey, like, cool, you got the gear, but I still recommend that you take some time and learn it and not just be tethered to me for all the information, because I think that's dangerous. And it actually can steal your ability to really learn how to use it in a way that really reflects what you're trying to get out of it in the end. You can't wait for a content creator to just take you through every function or every component of the software, the gear, so that you don't have to think of any ways creative to use it anymore. It's very dangerous. William Ellington says, I'm thinking of having an eclectic mix of stuff on my channel if I attract other creators and music fans all as well, trying to keep things separate and compartmentalized, ain't it, it seems. That's interesting. I think there's a challenge with that. I think you need to really think about the strategy here and make sure that it aligns with what your goal is, because not all views align with like your goal in the end. Not all the views that you get on the channel align with like the community that you're trying to build. Maximus, I appreciate the super chat. He said, definitely have to learn the gear just like you have to coach and learn a great player. I agree. Salute. Appreciate the super chat, fam. Um, but yeah, William, I think if your goal is to build a community around the music that you make, you really have to look at the culture of the community that you want to build and make sure you're adding value. And if you're a rap artist, for example, you have to be careful of only or being too heavily focused on the music production content, because rappers and people that are into rap music for that matter may not just be interested in that. So you have to be very precise about the community, because not all content um, will resonate with all audiences. So you have to look at what's the highest level that connects with all of those people so you don't alienate them. Because just as far as YouTube strategy is concerned, I've been looking into it more. I'm not an expert, but I can tell you some things. What I can tell you is that if you build a channel that has an audience that normally expects you to do a certain type of content, and then you bring something else to the table that you feel is related but may not be directly related, those people may not click on your latest content. And the problem is then it sends a signal to YouTube that says you put out bad product. And because you put a bad product or bad content out, we're not going to send it out to anybody. So that's the balance of YouTube. You have to be careful with how you structure your content and what are the main ideas that are in that content that relate to the entire audience that you're trying to build. Because you can build a diverse audience, but you need to look at it at a high level, because some topics get a little bit too deep, and if you built too much of your audience around like something that's very specific, like, hey, I do these freestyle challenges every Tuesday, but then Wednesday, I'm just doing beat making. The people that came for the freestyle are probably not going to look at the beat making, and then you may have a problem. So just some food for thought there. Let's see here. Million on the track says, I think we all see the guys in the Facebook groups who buy a ton of gear, never take the time to learn it. Next thing you know, they're selling it on marketplace. I mean, that's pretty much every niche of like hobbies or any hobbyist community is like that. I don't care. This ain't just music production. I don't care what you do. There's always people that got all the gear, buy the gear, intend to use the gear at some point in their mind, and just don't use it because they are very distracted with a lot of things, and the gear doesn't help, because then the gear kind of plays into the distraction, because now they're like, okay, now I just got to figure out, like, I got to find some videos to look at to help inspire me to learn the gear. And then you do this rabbit hole where it's like, yeah, I need this gear, and I need this, I need to figure out who can teach me how to use the gear. And then all of a sudden you're not making anything anymore. You're just looking at content the whole time because you got all this stuff. Let's see here. I'm gonna go up a little bit before I get to the end here. Um, let's see. Eddie Arcadia says that have a new setup. They have a new setup every week and never have old gear. Um, I've seen that cheap gear video. I mean, yeah, some there are some creators out there that seem to have a new setup every week, and it might be, listen, I don't, I'm not judging you if you got a new setup every week because you got some type of, you know, yeah, you're distracted and you cannot focus and you're just trying to figure out something in your own setup. But I think if you're doing that and then selling other people on that gear, then you're not helping them. You're not helping the community. I think if you're just showing people you're working and you're trying different stuff and, it's not about you trying to sell some gear that was sent to you, that's cool. I ain't got a problem with that. It's the content creators that seem to have a new setup every week because they are being sent free gear. This is one of the red flags. Something's wrong with that, and that's not going to help the community. Um, let's see here. Just going up a little bit more. Are you going in? He said, uh, yeah, some of these guys in the community are conflicted. That's just what it is. Definitely conflicted. Carbon Copy CH4 says all the reasons why before buying the PreSonus HD8, I watched multiple compare and contrast vids measuring output with graphs, sound demonstration, analyze specs, and reading product group threads. Yeah, that's important. It's important to do your homework. Like it's cool to get like that first influencer first set of influencer marketing videos. Those are cool. Those can kind of help you just see what's new. I mean, I'm different because maybe just because I come from that cloth of that old YouTube. I watch a lot of the YouTube videos that don't have the high production. Yeah, my wife can attest to that. I love watching the YouTube videos that are like super raw, like folks that have like really like crummy lighting and not the high end camera, but they got the gear and they're just banging out and like they're doing the real music part. I watch a lot of that actually. I enjoy that more than the high end produced, high production value beat videos especially. I think a lot of that doesn't really align with me because I think it misses a lot of things because the production of the video can kind of take over as the main value of the video. I watch a lot of the old YouTube style content actually because I think it's cool. I think it's the raw and it's the real. Um, So if they got a piece of gear I'm interested in and they're doing some stuff and I just watch them and like, okay, oh, they doing some interesting stuff. It sounds dope. Then that'll make me more intrigued than just a standard product rollout videos. So that's just me. Gene, I think this is Gino. What's going on, Gene? He said West Coast is clean sonics, but some West Coast producers implement that dusty, crusty grid also. Oh no, absolutely, bro. When I'm saying West Coast, I'm like I said, I'm more so focused on like the G Funk style of West Coast. If we talking about stuff like um Mad Lib and the Liquid Crew and all that kind of stuff, like Can Kick and all that kind of stuff. No, of course that's gonna be a little bit of a dirtier sound. So I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about the sonics of like G Funk specifically. Get it, Nard. I see you. I'm gonna bring you up on stage, fam. Get that Nard. What's going on with you?
Yeah, what's going on? So I've been in and out the conversation, so forgive me if I repeat something that's already been said. But I kind of think that one of the reasons I think the gear reviewers are important. That's why it's so disappointing when you find out somebody's only doing it just to get free gear or a check.
Mm,
Because we don't have music stores like we used to have.
Yeah.
Like, I can't just go into the music store and try out different things.
Mm-hmm.
And gear is the taste, because some things I might like, you might not like, and vice versa.
Yep.
So I think a lot of times we see people on YouTube that we like their music, and if they talk about gear, we trust them as far as gear. Like, if you were to ever promote something, we probably would listen to you because we like your music, and so we will listen to you. So I think it's a lot more complicated than saying do your research, because you really don't know until you actually have the gear in your hand and listen to it. I'm in the market for some monitors now, but I'm so hesitant because I don't want to spend $3,000 for some monitors just to get it, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
So you it's I don't know, it's a rough situation, but
No. I thank you for bringing that. Thank you for bringing that perspective, first of all, because I think you bring up an excellent point of the value of the influencer on YouTube to provide you kind of like at least a look at the gear by proxy of them and what they do. I think that's super important. So I'm not saying that that has no value. I think that has a lot of value, especially since, as you mentioned, we don't have so many of those big gear stores. Like Guitar Center don't even have the stuff hooked up most of the time, right?
yeah.
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 So you're absolutely right. I think what we're really speaking to though is just like this tendency to shill products that the influencer doesn't use or plan to use at all, and just wants to sell it because they have a vested interest in it. Like there's an affiliate or it's cheap and they know a large amount of people will buy it because they have a big audience. I think this is where it becomes more of a scam than it is a help.
Yeah, the plug-in people, I think they're a little bit worse though, because they
Agree.
really get you.
Agreed. Agreed. Yep. Yep.
All right, thanks you, man. Appreciate what you do.
No, I appreciate you, fam. Thanks for coming up and sharing your opinion as always, man. All right. I'm gonna get back to the chat here. But yeah, no, that's a good point. Get at Nard is definitely on point as far as like the value. Like there's value there in learning about the gear from someone that actually is doing music. I think that's the point of this, is to like share the thoughts and perspectives of someone that's actually doing music and actually is using the product. Cause it's one thing for you to just talk about it and say, yeah, like it's out and it has these features and functions. Like the company itself can do that. I think it's adding the real perspective and showing the context of how someone within a certain space or genre of music may want to use it. I think that's the real value. And it takes time. It takes time to understand what you can get out of the gear. And I think we won't always get that on the rollout week. I think that's the challenge is you sometimes you're gonna have to wait a little bit longer. I know like that part is on the consumer, right? Sometimes you're gonna have to wait longer than just the first week to make a decision, because it's gonna take some folks some time to dig into that product and really show what it's really good for and what it's not good for. You probably ain't gonna find that out in the first couple days unless it is a horrible product. Then you'll know for sure, like I can't use it. It's just not workable right now. But I think we got to be a little bit more patient about our research and more discerning about what context we're looking at as far as these producer music gear influencers are concerned, because you can get excited because somebody made a quick beat and not realize that what you're seeing on display is more their talent as a music producer, not really the gear itself. There's that risk as well. Back to the chat here. Let's see here. Pro Mike says companies need to pay established producers to make their tutorials. You got guys who don't know what they're doing and are learning on the go to teach people, leading them the wrong way. I agree. Um, I think there's also a challenge with just some of the guys that are established aren't what you think they are either. So I think that's um on the music tech side, being from that perspective, I've also witnessed that where it's like, yes, some of these guys that have the accolades and are known for this and that, they aren't actually the guy. So what happens then when the guy that you think is the guy ain't really the guy? So now you can't really show what you want to show on camera with that person because they don't really do what you think they do. There's a lot of that in the music industry as well. And I think that is one of the reasons why influencers and content creators have become more higher demand, because like, well, that big name producer don't really do anything either. And they don't know how to use it. And they'll make us look crazy if we get them on camera and they're fumbling around, or, they're doing stuff that, we don't think represents our product well. So there's different dynamics, and I understand why this has become more favorable for the companies involved as well. Robert Muley says, would you purchase Behringer gear? Not a question of would I, it's really have I, and the answer is definitively yes. I've purchased Behringer gear. I still have some Behringer gear. Do I think it's great or amazing? No, I don't think so. A good example of that, and G-Ball just said it as well earlier. One example of that is the ADA 8200. I have that as well. And for the original use case, reconnect here. All right. Do y'all hear me now? Let me see. Yeah? Can y'all hear me? Let me know in the chat. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, good old Houston, good old Houston. Good old Houston for the power outage. Yeah, that's something different out here. Let me tell you, that's something different out here. You better have your your backups together. Appreciate y'all for hanging on. That's just part of being a streamer out in an area where there's spotty electricity. I saw somebody said them influencers got me out the paint. They said, turn that mess off. Turn that mess off. Let me see what I got here. Yeah, I was answering a question about Behringer. So the Behringer 8200 is an example of a product that I have from Behringer. Um, I didn't like it because it had a lot of like crosstalk on the channels. So the problem I had bought it as a extension for my my main audio interface, which is the Apollo. So I wanted to have the 8 additional channels via ADAT, and I got it, and it was just so much crosstalk on the channel. So when I was recording things simultaneously, it was unusable because you were getting, crosstalk from different channels on, other channels, and just made it where I couldn't use it for simultaneous recording. Now I still have it, and I actually use it for something else now. I use it for digital to analog. At first, I was using it for analog to digital, but I actually use it for digital to analog now to go out to a couple other sources. So it works for that. And because I'm not doing that, because I'm using the outputs instead of the inputs, I think that's saving me on the crosstalk issue. But I don't love it. I've had Behringer mixers in the past. They tend to have a very limited lifespan. Um, I also have like the Behringer 808. It's cool. I don't use it all the time. It's cool. It sounds cool. It's not like a real 808. Um, oh, I missed the super chat. My moderator's telling me. DeWitt in there. I appreciate the super chat. Thank you, fam. Thank you, fam. Appreciate you. Um, Overall, I think Behringer is not amazing. My wife has the Behringer Crave. It's cool. It's not terrible. It's not amazing. Not amazing. So um I have a hard time recommending Behringer in terms of like overall quality of components and just also the durability of the product. I think they are not very durable. Um I think they are prone to um yeah, just go obsolete, or you definitely gonna have to buy a new one at a certain point. I just don't think that they're as good as higher quality, better built products in the end. And I couldn't imagine that they could build a product as good as like, the counterparts that they're mimicking for that price point. Something's got to give. There's got to be some type of corner cut. I see a hand in fan base. Let me see if I can bring you up on stage. This is Big Khalil Roberts. Let's see if this is working still. Hold on one second. I just need to make sure that my Bluetooth is still connected. Give me a second. But I'm gonna bring you up on. Oh no, it's not connected. There we go. Yeah, that ain't gonna work. Nope. 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 Okay. Let me see if this works now. All right, Khalil, can you hear me? I don't hear you. I think we've lost the connection. Hold on. Yeah, hold on one second. Hold on one second. All right, Khalil, can you hear me now? It seems like the Bluetooth. Khalil, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can
There
hear
we
you
there we
fine right
go.
now. Yes,
There we
sir.
go. There we go. What's going on with you, fam?
Hey, what's going on, my brother? How you doing?
Man, I'm good. I'm good. How you doing?
Uh, I'm fine. Yes, sir. Just to speak on the topic, man. I agree with both the other previous brothers on their perspective. I'm totally in line exactly with what they were talking about, man. And um, I personally have a lot of gear, and but when I sit back and think, you know, I never really like Maximus said, man, I did a lot of research before I actually went out and purchased any of my gear. And I'm gonna be honest, I had gas pretty bad at one point, but I don't regret it. So that's another thing. But in retrospect to that, on the actual plug-in side, I'm gonna be honest. I mean, that was absolutely worse, man. I
Hmm.
see the hoodwink is more on the plug-in side than I would say the actual gear side. In my, from what I've actually observed, and that's technically not really a tangible item.
Hmm.
Gear usually is something tangible you can actually grab, unless off your plug-ins you done made some money, and had some tangible results in that form of fashion. But like the actual gear, you know, I've never really, before I purchased anything, obviously, I never felt hoodwinked by influencers. And I listen to everybody. So, but on the plug-in side, though, bro, I mean,
Hmm.
it's definitely a some type of clandestine, mindset when it comes to the actual plugins,
Yeah.
man. Because the plugins are, they say it does this, it does that, and they actually, man, they are they're not that. So that's my experience, brother.
No, I
And I
agree.
land there.
I appreciate that, Khalil. I think I appreciate you bringing that. And in the conversation, I was definitely being broad about it. I think when I say gear, I definitely am including the software and also the sample packs and all of that stuff in the end. So I'm talking about all of it. But I agree that
Mm,
it's even easier to kind of do a scammy type of thing with the software. I'm sure everybody that watched YouTube seen some commercials of certain products that have a great marketing budget and come on before every music production video that comes out. I ain't gonna name none of them because I haven't used them actually. I don't use them, but I'm sure some of y'all know what I'm talking about. I've seen people have varying degrees of satisfaction with some of those products. And, I think some people that bought them felt like they got scammed because, is people saying, oh, all you got to do is click a couple things and it's perfect and all that kind of stuff. And you just like, really? Like, that's all it is. And then you
yeah,
get it. It's terrible.
that's very true. And there is no one click fits all type of scenario when it comes to this game.
Mm hmm. Mm hmm. Agreed, agreed. Man, I appreciate you for coming up and sharing that for sure, because
Yeah,
that's real
thank you, sir.
talk.
I'm only the funk in the chat, bro. So if you see me, yeah. So I'm a West Coast dude as well, even though I
Dope.
live in the South now.
Dope.
Yeah, yes, sir.
I'm gonna follow you. Yeah, I'm gonna add you on fan base here. So I
Yes, sir.
appreciate you. And also, yeah, let me give you some loves on here. I don't know if you know how fan base works, but that's a payment to you, fam. So I appreciate you for
Oh, okay, cool.
coming
Well,
up.
I haven't been on fan base in a while, man. I do definitely need to tap back in, but I appreciate that, and I will definitely look into it and get the full interest scope on how it works.
Yes,
But thank
sir.
you, brother.
Yes, sir. There
Yes,
you
sir.
go.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Peace.
Peace.
Um, yeah. No, that's real. I think the software can be even more egregious. It's because it's easier, it's cheaper. Like, and that's why I was talking about. Like, there's a tendency to even push lower cost products because it's just easier to like get more people to come up out of their disposable income. That higher price stuff, you're gonna see less of it because it's hard to sell that stuff. People can't just throw out $2,000, but $50, $100, they can get you up out of that really quickly, and some of these influencers know that too. So that's part of the problem. We'll go back to the chat here. Let's see. G Brown says, "Scammed is a harsh word. We the watchers need to understand it's a business for the influencers reviewing gear and promoting it." No, I agree. I think obviously, scammed is a word to use to create an emotional response. Let's keep it a buck. I'm just being very transparent. Um, I think part of, what I've done on this video, as far as the thumbnail and the title, is to kind of tap into the framework that you see on YouTube. So I'm being very transparent about that. Um, so if you look at my thumbnail and you kind of read between the lines there, you can understand that I'm also playing the YouTube thing, and I'm playing that for a reason so that you can understand that this is a commentary on this style of attention gathering in the music producer community as well. So if that's not clear, um, I don't think all the people that do gear reviews and gear walkthroughs are scammers. That's not what I've said, and I've said that from the beginning. But there are people that are opportunists in this community that don't care about our interests and just want to sell product. And that's what we're talking about, and that's what we're trying to call out here. Because we got to keep it, we got to have some accountability in the community. It can't just be like, oh, this is the, oh my God, this is like everything ain't a game changer, y'all. And I think most of y'all are smart enough to know that everything ain't a game changer. Some stuff is just not good. Some stuff ain't usable. Everything ain't a game changer. So let's not act like everything is a game changer. Let's see here. G-Ball says thinking about replacing the 88 8200 with some Ferrofish stuff. Yeah, that could be a good look. I ended up replacing my 8200 with the Antelope Audio MP8D. I did that years ago and have not regretted it. It was a very good buy. It's been rock solid and does what I needed to do. So definitely upgraded. AC Ducky says agree, only ever been burned by plugins. I could always sell gear. No, that's true. That's true. And even with the gear, I think realistically, if you're on the fence about some gear, it's always smarter to buy used with the gear. If you're on the fence and it's just like, I'm not really sure, and the videos and all the comparisons and everything I saw online wasn't enough for me to really be sure, wait until you can get that gear used, because that's how you can ensure that you lose the least amount of money if you say it's not for you. I'm a big proponent of buying used when possible. And used don't have to mean trash condition. Like, that's not what used is. Like, find one that's in very good, excellent condition, mint condition. Some of us out here take very, very good care of our gear, and you may receive something. I've sold some things in the past couple weeks and months, and everything was shipped in their original box with the original manuals, and everything was in amazing condition. I keep all my original boxes and stuff. So buy used. I definitely recommend you buy used if you're on the fence for something. You don't need to always buy brand new. That's how you lose the most money. Like, just the sticker price, when you buy it at the sticker price, and if you immediately have to sell it, you're going to lose. Let's see here. Petromedia says some YouTuber was talking about old production processes and why someone like Kanye samples things at high speed because that was the only way to get the sound, and I was boiling inside. Wrong. Oh boy. Well, that's a different video altogether, because I do have some thoughts about people that break down other people's production process and have never been in the studio with said producer. I think that is particularly egregious as well. When you are, I think that there's something to be said about that. If you know everything about somebody else's production techniques and you haven't been in the studio with them, there's some words for that. And I think some of it is good intent. There's good intentions behind some of it, but I also think some of it can be a little bit culture vulture-y as well. Just depends how it's executed. But generally speaking, I think that the challenge for me is that At what point do we teach our own techniques? You know, at what point do we show what we're doing and like how we are achieving something? You know, why is everything how somebody else is achieving something and we don't even have a relationship with them? I think that's kind of suspect. Get at Nor, appreciate the super chat. He said, "Who's worse, YouTubers or Sweetwater salesmen?" I mean, Sweetwater salesmen are very, very they're professional. They're professional. Let me tell you. They'll call you, say, hey, Jay, just this is your Sweetwater rep, just calling to check in on you and see what you're working on these days. And, you know, give me a call if you're looking for anything from us. You know, I would love to help you out, and, you know, just I'd love to just kind of dive into what you're looking to do for this year. And yeah, just and they're really good. They're really good. I think they're better than YouTubers, to be honest. I think they're much better than YouTubers because YouTuber ain't gonna ask you, you know, what you getting into specifically. They just talk about what they doing and say, "See, this is dope because I just made a dope beat with it," and then keep it pushing. The Sweetwater guy at least go try to figure out what you doing first before they recommend something. I think that's a big difference. But no, that's hilarious. Get that in the heart. um. Gird Up International Ministry says, and I have 5 for 55. 5 for 55. Man, what an amazing idea. No, that 5 for 55, I mean, I could talk about that a little bit, but you know, that was actually something that I recommended because just the frequency of expansions that they have just wasn't enough to do 9 for 99 anymore. So, you know, I said, hey, why not 5 for 55 since we don't have 9? But that's when I was still a product manager. So glad to see they're doing it. Hopefully that's working better. I mean, 5 for 55, I feel like that's like, I mean, the price of the expansion, $11 is kind of like crazy at this point. So, but yeah, that's hilarious. Let me see. Just going back in time here. Um, Joshua Wood says people got that gas syndrome going on by buying everything that they see and don't save for analog gear that costs thousands. Well, I mean, yeah, software is cheaper. It's just easier to just say, oh, okay, cool, new whatever for 99 bucks. You know, the alternative is buy new hardware for, you know, 12 times the price, right? 10 to 12 times the price. Like, yeah, I'd rather pay 99 bucks than to buy something for 1300 bucks. At 1300 bucks, I don't really have to, I mean, that 100 bucks, I don't have to have such a deep conversation with my wife about that. That 100 bucks I can get away with. That 1400, we got to have a conversation. Now we getting close to a mortgage now, depending on where you live. So that ain't no California mortgage, but you get what I'm saying. Like, you don't have to have the same conversation for that $99. So yeah, that's the challenge there. Like, that software can definitely it can add up real quick. And it's like, if you're an impulsive buyer and you see something and somebody just do something slightly dope, it's like, oh, I need that. And I'm not saying software is trash. I ain't saying that at all. Like, you've seen what I do. I talk about the software that I use. I show you the software that I use. I use Core Gadget all the time, and you know, there's other stuff that I use. I use software, so it ain't like I'm saying software is trash. I'm just saying that it's easy for you to like go and just spend that money because that the price point is in that disposable income range. So yeah. Um, G Bar, appreciate you, man. He said I made an impact at NI, man. I appreciate that. Yes, sir. Appreciate that. Um, Petro Media says you can't just buy or have everything. You start to become a jack of all trades and master of none. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure everybody can talk about all the software, especially that they have on their computer that they don't use. Like, pull that software, that plugin list in your DAW, and it's like it's eight pages of plugins and stuff, and you probably use 10% of it at best. We all are guilty. Trust me. Trust me. I know. Canera says, yeah, a lot of the big name producers have programmers that do most of the work for them. Thus, they don't know how to really use the gear they have, if they have any at all. Yeah, it's true. A lot of them have programmers, keyboard players, engineers, whole team of people working to help them to produce the record. And yeah, to just get them on screen and say, hey, can you showcase this new product? It's like, nah, they probably can't. Like, it's not what you think. Not all of them. There's some of them that really get down. There's some of them that really do the thing that we think when we say music production, but it's not as many as you think. Code Heat Studio says, that's why I use sites like Zounds, American Musical, because they offer payment plans. Yeah, I never use them. I mean, like I said, if you buy brand new, you're still gonna lose if you don't like the gear in the end. So I don't care if you bought it on payment plan or not. If you bought it at the list, the actual list price, or whatever the retail price is, and you don't like it, yeah, you're gonna lose money. And if you got, God forbid, you got it on a payment plan and you don't like it, oh boy, oh boy. That's not good at all. That's not nice at all. If you got it on a payment plan and you don't like it, I don't know what the return policies are at some of these places, but hopefully they got a good return policy where you could just say, this ain't for me. But sometimes it takes a little bit longer than like a couple days or a week to determine whether or not something is very useful for you. So I do recommend used if possible. If you can get something used, do it that way. G-Ball said, I started disabling plugins, too much noise. Yeah, I agree. Back when I had a Roland XP50 and a sampler, life was much simpler. Tell me about it. Cole, he said you can still return it. Dope. Okay, if you can still return it, then you get it. As long as they got a good return policy, because the last thing you want to be doing is like, hey, I got 3 more payments of this and I don't like it and I have no recourse. That's horrible. Let's see here. Ruffian, what's good? What you found? He says, I've done that before. I had to pay my own shipping back to Zounds. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, man, what's going on with you though, Ruffian, man? I saw your, I think I saw a video of yours the other day, actually, man. Hope all is well with you. Digital Diesel says, I bought my first Korg last year, and over 20 years of playing with music, I love it. Yeah, Korg got some amazing stuff. I love Korg. I'm a big fan of Korg. Gird Up International, I appreciate you, man. Have a blessed one, man. I appreciate you for hanging out. Of course, this will be available for true sound creators at minimum. I gotta check the replay and see if the replay is okay. If the replay is okay, then I will keep it up for the rest of the community as well. G-Ball say you never own a piece of Korg gear either. Nah, man, Korg is the one for me personally. And like I mentioned in my my iPad video, like a lot of that Korg stuff is just like, it reminds me of a lot of the records I grew up on personally. Korg has been a staple on the West Coast, like that M1 and that Trinity and all that stuff, like the MS-2000, all that stuff. Korg is dope. Korg is dope. Listen, y'all, if y'all getting value out of this content, out of the streams, man, I would really appreciate it if y'all hit the like button. Make sure that this video is at least having a chance to see the light of day on YouTube. I appreciate y'all for tapping in. So hit the like button, and if you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe to the channel, fam. I think we got more stuff to come on this channel as far as like content, and I'm gonna be focusing a lot more on the stuff that I actually use and the stuff that I own. I'm not, I'm not gonna be the new gear channel here. So, if I buy new gear and I talk about it, I talk about it like once I feel I'm at a level to talk about it. That's how I get down. I got stuff in here that I haven't talked about on this channel still, and that's on purpose. I got a Hydrocyn back there. I ain't, we ain't did like no super crazy like game changer videos on that yet. We done some stuff on the True Sound Creators membership though. We went through some of it, but there's a lot of stuff that I have that we just don't talk about because I think I want to focus on mastery. So we're gonna talk about more of the stuff that definitely I'm a master of to a degree, because I think you can always learn more about this stuff. So I just like to share the stuff that I've got a certain comfort level with, because I think that's the most valuable way for me to share the knowledge in the end. But subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed, fam. We ain't going nowhere until YouTube says you can no longer post here. I've been here since the beginning. So yeah, stay tapped in with your boy. That's what's up, Ruffian. I appreciate you, fam. Thanks for tapping in. Glad to hear you doing good, man. Let's see here. Code Heat Studio says, but if I'm buying it, I already know I'm not returning it because I've done my due diligence. That's good. That's good. Only the Funk says I have Korg Nautilus. Absolutely great. Yeah, Korg is beastly. G-Boss says I need to get that Triton plugin. Yeah, you should get the suite. I mean, it depends on what kind of music you make, right? That Korg sound, you're gonna hear it and it's gonna be very specific to certain things. And if you don't relate to that music, then it ain't gonna work for you. Cause I think you'll hear it a certain way and it'll be like, that's like that. Oh, that's the, whatever sound. Some people say, oh, that's the Neptune sound or whatever. I love it though, because I don't lean towards the sounds that I remember the Neptunes using. There's other stuff in there where it's like, oh, that's that, that's that dog food. That's that chronic. That's that. I like all that stuff in there. So, some of my mentors and big bros and all that stuff definitely were users of the Korg, all the Korg stuff, like the Trinity, like Battlecat was definitely a Trinity user. MS-2000, yeah, Battlecat definitely made that one sing. There's a lot of good stuff in there in the Korg suite. Let's see here. Only the Funk says Triton is classic. I still have mine. Yeah, I sold mine. I probably shouldn't have, but I was young and dumb. And not dumb. I just didn't have enough money to to keep both at the time. But you know what I mean. G-Ball says the Roland's analogy makes me register too much. Word, really? Oh, you talking about just like literal like registration on the yeah, I get what you mean. I can't do any subscription software. That's just me not on the instruments. I can't do it. I cannot do it for instruments. So, if you like the Roland stuff, I'm still going to recommend look at the XV 5050, look at the XV 3080, look at the XV 5080, the JV 1080, the JV 2080. All of those are great options. So if you like a lot of that Korg stuff, those are great options, and you can still find those for pretty decent prices. Phantom XR is another one. I personally, I had the Integra. I don't, I that one I don't recommend. I did just as a long time rolling user. Um, that one sound too different from the classic stuff for me. It's the rolling sound set, but it's just the way the effects engine and the supernatural sounds and all that stuff. It just that's its own thing. So you get that because you want new sounds. You don't get that for the classic rolling sound. So if you're looking for that classic rolling sound, like I said, JV 1080, JV 2080, XV 3080, XV 5080, XV 5050, those are some good options. Let's see here. Joshua Wood says, my advice for plugins is make a list and um, keep what I thought, keep it. Maybe I don't know what you mean. Keep it till Black Friday. Then if, am I tripping? Are you putting fives instead of T's? You kind of messing me up here. I'm trying to read what you say. I'm seeing fives. Hopefully I'm not tripping. Um, if it's still on the purchase, oh yeah, you kind of playing some games with the way you typing this stuff. I'm trying to read your stuff and I'm seeing numbers. If it's on the purchase list, if you can get analog gear, get a payment plan, and get good gear, sound matters. Word. Digital Diesel G Boss says the same. I did not renew my subscription and just bought a few packs. I don't make enough music to pay for that each year. Yeah, sometimes it don't make sense. Like you can get the racks and stuff for like way cheaper in some cases. Let's see. G Ball or Digital Diesel says I don't use the PC sounds with Zenology, just the stuff I use on my Juno X. The Zen core is the truth. Word. G Boss says I paid for a lifetime license. They still make you get online with authenticate and authenticate every several weeks. That is super annoying. I don't like anything that phones home like that. That's one of the main reasons why there's some software that I just will not mess with at all. Ruffian Kick says it's funny how Korg has native versions of all their new hardware synths for a fraction of the price. Yeah, it's slept on, to be honest. It's slept on. Um, I'm not a software shill. Um, but the core stuff I use. I've shown you I use it. Like I've shown you in multiple streams. I use it. I for real use it. It's not a game. That's one of the main things I use. It's very slept on. Um, Normonster says I just got a JV 1080 and that sounds better than the Zen core to my ears. I could see that. 1080 is classic. 1080 is it. That was my first rack synthesizer. So 1080 is definitely a classic. Um, Bam, I think we're closing in on the end of this stream. Hopefully this stream brought to light some things to look at and to consider as we traverse these internet streets and look at new gear and software and things. I think we just need to be accountable for what we're looking at and also how we deal with the things that we're seeing. Again, this wasn't about calling anyone specifically to task, but I think as a community, we need to have some accountability and make sure that we're not just allowing people to feel comfortable with being a culture vulture in the end, because that's not cool. So if you got any value out of this stream, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We will be doing more of this type of content. Next week, actually, we're doing a Ask Me Anything. So next Thursday, the format will be Ask Me Anything. So if you want to ask me questions about music production specifically, that will be the opportunity to do so. So looking forward to that. So next Thursday at 4 p.m. Central Time, we will be doing an Ask Me Anything edition of this live stream. Make sure that you subscribe. And As always, the Ask Me Anythings are live, but once they are done, they go into members only. So if you can catch it live, amazing. But if you are not sure if you can catch it live, you may want to consider becoming a true sound creator. That's the only way you'll be able to get access to that after the fact. So make sure you become a true sound creator. Upbeat Media will put a link in the chat here if you're interested in becoming a true sound creator. Um, Become a member. We got over 50 hours of music production information, videos, interviews, all kind of stuff. There's also like some great member perks. We got discounts on software from Divided Souls. So their plugin, we have a members discount for that. There's discounts on my ebook, The Sound Mind, as well. So become a member if you're not already a member. And yeah, fam, if you're interested in leveling up your craft and monetizing your skill set beyond just music production, I do recommend that you check out my ebook, The Sound Mind. So The Sound Mind is an ebook that I created some years back now, some time ago, about 10 years ago, but it's got a lot of techniques and workflows and strategies that I've used as a professional sound designer over the past 20 years. There are proven methods in here. This is not stuff that I'm just kind of kicking from other people's books and videos and all this stuff. This is the stuff that I use as a professional sound designer for some of the top companies like Yamaha and Native Instruments over the past 20 years. So really good information there if you're interested in really leveling up and figuring out how to leverage your abilities as a music producer in ways beyond just making beats and selling beats. This is a good book for you. Check it out. The Sound Mind is exclusive to Altruwest.com. So if you're interested, I will leave a link in the video description and you can check that out at your convenience. And yes, our members get a special price for that one. So, y'all, it's been good, man. We made it. We had a good old Houston power outage. Yeah, Houston kind of makes it a challenge at times to do streams, but we made it through. Appreciate y'all for tapping in as always, fam. We're gonna do this again. We're gonna keep doing this. So next Thursday at 4 p.m. Central, be ready. We got the Ask Me Anything, and hopefully I can get some other content together before the stream. But yeah, man, if y'all haven't already checked out the last video I did, check out the last video that I did on this channel as well. It was a pretty interesting shootout and conversation around the NPCs, like the NPC 1, the X, and all that. So real good stuff there, real good information. If you haven't seen it, check it out. And until next time, I'm gonna tell y'all peace and God bless.